All right, welcome to the Sharp Mind Show, episode 67. I'm Nate, the Fit Future Indeed, your host. Be sure to shop at intercell.com and pick up a cool, inspirational t shirt today. All right, thank you guys, everyone that came out to the baby shower this weekend. I really do appreciate y'all coming out, especially the ones that came from far and wide that I don't get to see very often. Really do appreciate y'all coming and y'all support for our new baby coming in December. Um, so thank you guys very much. Also, thank you everyone that's already supported my wife's new book, which is Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins, which is available on Amazon. So make sure you check that out. All right. So to start with the big news of the day, let's say we've been in the government shutdown now for a long, long time, the longest in history. But the Senate votes 60-40 to end the government shutdown. All right. And so they got an agreement, and the agreement includes the reversal of the mass firings by federal workers, and it also ensures that federal workers receive their back pay. Right. Obviously, the Senate Majority Leader John Thune. Say, did you even know that the Senate Majority Leader's name was John Thune? Endorsed the deal and immediately called a vote. And so approving this, can stop the disruption in flights nationwide, can stop the threat from food assistance for millions of Americans, and obviously can get federal workers paid for the work that they're doing. And obviously, John Thune said the time is to act is now. So basically, this would not get the Democrats what they wanted, right? They wanted an extension to Obamacare, at least a year extension, so they could figure out something else to replace Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, you know, you got nine or eight, I think it's eight senators that came from the Democrat side to vote for the Republican side to end the shutdown. Um, Obviously, you know, maybe they're not paid off by the insurance companies or something like that. But hopefully, either way, hopefully that they come up with some solution to help Americans that do need the Affordable Care Act. They do need the subsidies to be able to afford health care, right? So hopefully they do actually come up with some solution to that. Obviously, it's not going to be in this time. Um, this does not end the shutdown right now. I still got to go to the House and pass the House. I think in the House it's a lot easier to pass, or they can't filibuster it or whatever. In the Senate you can filibuster. In the House, I don't think you can. Um, so it's really, if it passes the Senate, it's basically going to pass the House. Um, but is this a good thing? Uh, Obviously, I think with the people not getting they call it SNAP benefits, but the food stamps, um, and stuff like that. Like obviously, we want our federal workers getting paid, because if you're not getting paid, that is not good. Um, you know, so and obviously, I got family that flies all the time, so obviously, I don't want I want those people getting paid too. So it's good to go. Obviously, I think that the Affordable Care Act either needs to be extended or it needs to be remodeled to some different plan. Not sure what that plan would be, but um, it sounds like Trump just wants to send you the cash instead of it going to the insurance companies, um, which I'm fine with too. Send me the cash. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Obviously, this is the big story. Obviously, you know, I never understood why, like, it's a Sunday and the Senate is sitting there working, like, on a Sunday, right? Overnight on Sunday. Call the vote. Everybody come in on Sunday night. You know, president's chilling at the football game. You know, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Obviously, I'm gonna keep talking about the president here in a second. Hold on 1 second. So I just talked about this. I just talked about this for a second, but this episode is brought to you by Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins, which is my wife's new children's book. So make sure you pick that up in the description below. If you have nieces, nephews, or children of your own, be sure to check out Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins by Meredith Dylan Johnson, available on Amazon. All right. So moving on to the next story. And so obviously we talk about money. This is a Sharp Mind show. So we're going to talk about money, baby. All right. Trump proposes a 50-year mortgage. What will this do? What will this do? What will this do? What will this do for the affordability of housing? What will this do for the affordability of housing? All right. So obviously everyone knows if you extend your payment out longer, if you get a fixed rate mortgage of 50 years compared to a fixed rate mortgage of 15 years or 30 years, you are going to have a smaller monthly payment, right? So obviously right now that's the issue with purchasing homes, right? Is the monthly payment, right? Basically, if the houses are going to be $400,000, $500,000, and the payment's going to be $3,500, normal Americans that make 60 grand a year can't afford that mortgage. However, if you extend the mortgage out to a 50-year mortgage, that payment becomes $2,600 a month, which then a normal American may be able to afford, right? But that basically doubles the price of the home, right? So if you're buying a home for $500,000, you're really going to be paying over $1 million for that home, right? So is it a good idea? Short term, it might be a good idea to pick up homes, on a 50-year mortgage, right? And then, to me, then you refinance and, back down into a 30 or whenever, if interest rates drop. Obviously they're starting to decrease the interest rate. And when that happens, you're going to see the price of housing go up more, right? Because you're going to have increased demand. Obviously, there is a increased supply currently, but the price of housing is staying steady because we're sitting at 30-year mortgages, right? So, 30-year mortgages with low interest rates, and you basically can keep the price of housing steady because that person doesn't necessarily have to sell. There's there's going to be very few people that may have lost their job. With still 4.5% unemployment. You're talking about very few people that are going to have to sell their homes, right? They have to, right? So that's the only time you would see maybe the price of housing start to drop, right? Either way, the price of housing is inflated, but is it an inflation here to stay? And pretty much with him proposing a 50-year mortgage, that's basically what's going to happen. But you are going to pay a lot more for the home if you actually completed the 50-year mortgage, right? And so that's not the goal. The goal is to get into the house, right? Because basically you want to be on the side of the appreciation, not the side of you paying for somebody else to get rich, right? And that's basically what you do if you rent. If you're going to rent for 25, 30 years, you will make somebody else rich and you will still be broke. Right. So keep that in mind. Go get the house that you want in the area that you want. And hopefully, if you extend it out to a 50-year mortgage, you can make the payment and get on the other side of the appreciation, right? They say, well, so when we did the math on this, with a 30-year fixed mortgage, 3.8% interest, we were like, it was going to cost us how much our house is worth currently in less than 5 years, and how much our house is worth currently to over that 30-year span, right? So if the house keeps going up 2% a year, 3% a year, for the next 25 years, we're going to be making a lot more money than, like, that spread is going to be a lot bigger than how much we're actually paying for the house over 30 years, right? So if we complete it to 30 years, right? Because now you're talking about, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity that could be used somewhere else, right? So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that being married is the hack here, because you can make $500,000 on a home tax free by being married, right? So every 2 years you can make up to $500,000 tax free, and move on to the next home, move on to the next home. And so that's what's been stopped by these high interest rates, and that's what basically why Trump's saying, here is a 50-year mortgage, right? So keep that in mind. And we'll move on. Let me know what you guys think about the 50-year mortgage in the comments below. All right. So on to life coaching today. We got Ann. And Ann says she spent years taking care of the kids, spouse, work, home. And now they don't know who they are outside these roles. She says, I don't have hobbies. I don't even know what I like anymore. So basically, how do you fix the parent who lost themselves in responsibility? Now, I personally on TikTok been seeing, for whatever, I'm on the divorce side of TikTok, probably just trying to learn what not to do so I don't end up divorced. I don't know. But so this lady comes up, she's like 54 years old, and she's like, no man my age will agree to what I'm not doing anymore. She's like, I'm 54, I'm not cooking anymore. We're not gonna watch sports anymore, and something else. And I'm like, wow, like that's just like, so that's like the complete 360 of what Ann is going through here, right? Like Ann wants to be, Ann identifies herself in those roles, right? And so much so that she doesn't even know what her hobbies are, what she likes outside of that, right? She basically liked being needed by her family, right? So, basically, what we would do for Ann is basically we're just going to start trying stuff, right? Um, go down a long list of things to try and, see what she enjoyed. We might start with like a list of stuff she enjoyed before, right? But, a lot of times those things are not the same, right? Like, so for instance, when I graduated college and I went back home, the home that I went back to was not the same home I left, right? And the people that I knew from before, they were still the same. They hadn't grown at all, and I had, right? So it was just different. And obviously it was a tough time because there were no jobs, but and we're gonna just start trying stuff and figure out what she actually likes, right? Like that's how you figure out how you like, if you like something or not, you go try stuff, right? So if you got all the kids out the house and it's just you and your spouse now, like, let's find ways to What is our spouse like? What do we like together? Obviously, hopefully you had common interests before you got married, um, that you can start doing again, right? So um, keep that in mind. What would you guys do for Anne here? Let's say she spent years taking care of her kids, spouse, work, and the house, and now she doesn't know who she is outside those roles. What would you guys do to help Anne find out who she is and rediscover her individuality? Um, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. All right, the last one today is the quote of the day. We'll try to make it short and sweet, and it says, what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. And that's by Gretchen Rubin. And it basically means that greatness is built on routine, not on glory, right? So that's why I wake up early. I read for 10 minutes a day on what I'm trying to learn. I eat breakfast early. I go to the gym every day, right? So I've already taken care of three of the four needs of the day, right? Before I even go to work, right? Um, so that's habit, that's routine, right? And honestly, it's even hard for me to sleep in on Saturday, Sunday because I'm so used to the routine, right? So, and what does that get you, right? That gets you, um, what, 4 promotions in 3 years. That gets you, makes you the smartest person in the room, every room you go into, right? Because 90% of people have never even read a book outside of high school, right? In America. Very sad statistic, but I mean, that basically makes you better or smarter or than 90% of people just by reading 10 minutes a day, right? Um, so keep that in mind. It makes you healthier than 90% of people because you go to the gym in the morning every day, right? Even if you are bulking or whatever and or not eating as well as you should, you went to the gym every day when everybody else is not, right? And that in the blood work, you'll still be healthier than not going to the gym, right? So, but hopefully you can get your nutrition down. Hopefully, the routine of the nutrition is one of the most important things, right? So keep that in mind as well. Um, Obviously talking to myself here because I love food, but besides that, so work on your routine, work on your habits, mindset, skill set, habits, right? Work on those habits, and your mindset and your skill set will get better. Your life will improve. If you need help setting this stuff up for yourself, setting up your mindset, your skill set, and your habits, I'm Nate, and I'm a life coach. That's what I help people do, right? So hit me up in the description for life coaching. Hit me up in my DMs on Instagram for life coaching. Sign up on my website for life coaching. Let's get your life back on track, back where you want it to be. I'm Nate, and I'm the Fit Future MD. Make sure you shop at InstaSell.com. Pick you up a cool inspirational t-shirt today. And check out my wife's new book, Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins. It's a really great book, and it made me cry like a baby. So very good. Obviously, we got kids, nieces or nephews. Be sure to pick that up. Uh, Basically, you know, I would say, honestly, I'd say 12 and under for this book. It's good all the way for little babies, and it's good all the way up to kids that are 10 or 12 years old. So check that book out, and we'll see you guys in the next piece.